A continuación, HITN presenta el Latino Leaders Luncheon Series, que se llevó a cabo en Washington, D.C. el miércoles 14 de junio del 2006, organizado por Mickey Ibarra y asociados. El Latino Leaders Luncheon es una serie de encuentros organizada por Mickey Ibarra y asociados para crear un foro donde prominentes líderes latinos de diferentes sectores puedan dialogar y expresar sus puntos de vista acerca de temas de importancia en la comunidad hispana.
We have a wonderful program in store for you. First, on behalf of Mickey Ibarra and Associates, the host of the Latino Leaders Luncheon Series, it's my privilege to welcome each and every one of you to our sixth event. It started with really a very simple idea, and those that know me well understand that I specialize in simple. A simple idea to bring our community together every 3 months, to hear from each other, to talk to each other, to become better acquainted with each other, to listen to each other, and to hear from one of our own. And we are so proud to be joined today by Texas State Senator Leticia of San Antonio and the first Latina President-elect of the National Conference of State Legislatures. I can tell you, I'm proud of each and every one of the leaders in this room today, and you really are all leaders, Latino or not. And we are very grateful to have you here with us. We're also very grateful for today's luncheon sponsors, actually sponsors of the Latino Leaders Luncheon Series in its entirety. We're very, very grateful to two corporations that are friends of the Latino community, Verizon Communications and also the Coca-Cola Company. In addition, we would like to thank Pfizer Inc. for sponsoring the pre-luncheon reception today, and they are in the room right here. I want to thank Pfizer for being with us. I'll mention Erica Weinberg, who was representing Pfizer today. All of you, I hope, are aware that we start our day actually not with lunch, but with an issue hour. And today the issue hour was Latino health. We had a wonderful panel assembled, led by the National Council of La Raza and others, Pfizer Pharmaceutical, and we want to thank them for their support. Before we hear from representatives of the Coca-Cola Company and Verizon Communications, I do want to take a moment to make some acknowledgments. Again, I think life is full of so many assumptions. And one assumption is that we all know each other. We don't. But we need to know each other a lot better. So with your indulgence, I would like to make a number of acknowledgments, ask each to stand so that you know them. We have first two members of Congress that have joined us, and I'll tell you, those of us that work on Capitol Hill, those of us that work in our nation's capital understand how difficult it is for our members to break away from the Hill for even a short time. So I want to, again, thank so much two congressmen that have decided to join us today. First, Congressman Charlie Gonzalez of San Antonio. And also a past featured speaker of the Latino Leaders Luncheon Series, Congressman John Salazar of Colorado. We also have with us some very important local officials. As the former Director of Intergovernmental Affairs at the White House, I love our state and local officials. And we have Councilman Tom Perez, who is with us. I hope he's still here. I know he had a, perhaps not. He was with us a bit earlier. I'll just say a word about Tom Perez. You'll be hearing more about him in the days ahead. He is a candidate for Attorney General of the state of Maryland, Tom Perez. We also have a judge-elect, J.D. Salinas of Hidalgo County, Texas. Is J.D. in the room? Okay, it's not. We have a council member, Jocelyn Pena Melnick, of the city of College Park. There we are right here. Yeah. And we're so glad we found you. Hey, there you go. And we also have a mayor in the house, and Adam Ortiz, the mayor of Edmonston, Maryland. Mayor? Also, Manuel Torres, the clerk of the Senate of Puerto Rico, is with us. Manuel? Mm-hmm. No, I don't see him. And now for a number of our leaders, Ron Blackburn Moreno, the president of ASPIDA, but also chair of NHLA. Yeah. Janet Murguia, president of NCLR. Mm-hmm. Brent Wilkes, executive director of LULAC. Brent? We also have Esther Aguilera, the president of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus Institute. Esther? We have one of our newest presidents in the room, Carlos Horta, the new president of HACER. Carlos? And a good friend, Octavio Hinojosa, the executive director of the Congressional Hispanic Leadership Institute. All the way from Hollywood, Alex Nogales, president of the National Hispanic Media Coalition. Alex? We also have with us Dr. Elena Rios, president of the National Hispanic Media Medical Association. Excuse me. Juan Andrade, president of the U.S. Hispanic Leadership Institute in Chicago. We have Michael Barrera, the president and CEO of the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Fern Barueta, president and CEO of the Hispanic College Fund. Liz Burgos, the executive director of the National Hispanic Caucus of State Legislators. Jose Antonio Tirino, the president of the Hispanic Heritage Foundation. I'm going to save an announcement involving Jose Antonio for the end of our program related to our very next event. Put it on your calendars now, September 6th. We'll say more about that at the close of today's luncheon. We also have with us Marisa Rivera Albert, president of the National Hispana Leadership Institute. Cristina Caballero, president of the Dialogue on Diversity. We have some more acknowledgments. We're going to save those for after lunch is served. But we want to have an opportunity now to hear from our sponsors. Representing the Coca-Cola Company, Rudy Becerra is not with us today, but I'll tell you, Those that work with the Coca-Cola Company understand that Rudy Becerra has a wonderful, wonderful team, and certainly a leader among that team, Frank Ross, who will deliver sponsor remarks on behalf of Coca-Cola. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, damas y caballeros. Buenas tardes. We're starting. How you doing? Good to see you again. Those who've heard me make remarks, I'm going to stay in the spirit of Mickey, and that is we're going to start on time and finish on time, so you can't blame it on me, because I always do quick to the point. But on behalf of our chairman, Neville Esdale, one of my close associates of the Coca-Cola Company, Tammy Jackson, is here with me today, and there were 50,000 Coca-Cola employees worldwide. I want to thank you for being here today. It is truly an honor, as it has been the past 3 or 4 meetings that we've been involved, to sponsor an event that brings so many quality individuals together. I would also like to thank our co-sponsor, and I think Steve Banta is here. There he is, Steve, on behalf of Verizon, and it's been a great partnership of co-sponsoring this event, so thank you for being here. I also want to commend Mick, and I do this every time because think about it, he fills this room up every time we do this, but more importantly, he fills it with people that have a passion for what we're trying to accomplish. He's providing opportunity for willing individuals that want to make a big difference and provide opportunity for us to come together quarterly and learn from knowledgeable and dynamic speakers, such as today we'll have Texas State Senator Leticia Van de Putte, and I've had opportunity to meet her, and I look forward to hearing from what she has to say. And we should all be proud of her trailblazing. And Mickey already took some thunder away from the speech, but she served as president of the National Hispanic Caucus of State Legislators, and more importantly, she recently became the first Hispanic and also the first Texan ever to be selected president of the National Conference of State Legislators. That's a great feat. I've had the privilege of getting to know her over the past year and a half or 2 years when we hosted you and actually hosted the board, and she's a wonderful person. And I tell you what struck me, when I meet people, I always try to figure out what is it about this individual that really sticks with you. And her passion and enthusiasm for life is contagious. It really is. And if you're around her, you'll see what I mean. So if you get a chance, please take a moment to at least spend some time with Senator Van de Putte. The Coca-Cola Company has had a long history of giving back to the communities that we serve. It is part of the thread that makes up the fabric of our business. As a result, there's a great sense of pride for our employees. I think Tammy will back this up. To be associated with a company that has done more to help more communities and people in more countries around the world than probably any other company in history. We look forward to continuing to work with you and other leaders, both in the public and private sector, to strengthen the Latino community. Besides being the right thing to do, we recognize that a strong Hispanic community means a stronger America. Thank you, and hope you enjoy the evening, and that we'll have the luncheon, and adios.
We are also very grateful for the support of Verizon Communications, another great friend of the Hispanic community. And with us to deliver sponsor remarks is Steve Banta, the Verizon Texas President. Steve?
Well, thank you, Mickey, and good afternoon, everyone. I am truly honored to be here today with such an impressive group of leaders from the Hispanic community. Verizon has been a proud co-sponsor of the Latino Leaders Luncheon Series since its inception in 2004. We value this opportunity to showcase outstanding Hispanic leaders who are improving their communities and our nation. The purpose of this luncheon series aligns naturally with Verizon's long-standing commitment to diversity. When diversity is part of a company's culture, everyone benefits: our customers, our employees, and our communities. We are especially proud of the fact that the June issue of Diversity Inc. names Verizon and Verizon Wireless #1 in diversity in corporate America. Thank you. At Verizon, we remain steadfast in our belief that promoting greater corporate responsibility and diversity is not only the right thing to do, but is also the smart thing to do for business. As part of our continued transformation to a broadband company, we are advocating for increased competition in video services so that consumers have more choices and better values, and that more opportunities are created for minority entrepreneurs and businesses to be successful. Today, we are here to celebrate the public service of Senator Leticia Van de Putte, a leader in the Hispanic community and a visionary public policy maker. In fact, Senator Van de Putte has been an instrumental champion in leading the video franchise reform efforts in Texas and around the country. She is also at the forefront of issues impacting the Hispanic community and is as you've already heard and we've already celebrated, the incoming president of the National Conference of State Legislatures. It is important to note, as we've heard, that number one, and we couldn't be more proud from Texas that you're the first, Leticia. Everything she does is with grace and enthusiasm. She is a dedicated mother, a hardworking policymaker, and a pillar in her community. She is passionate about life and helping others, and I admire her ability to accomplish so much for so many. Senator, Verizon strives to create a culture where an individual's differences and skills are not only respected, but developed and used to both the company's and the employees' benefit. Verizon Communications has been named to Working Mother Magazine's 2006 Best Companies for Women of Color. Also this year, Verizon was honored by the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, which named Verizon among the top American corporations for women's business enterprises. I note these company accomplishments because they are made possible thanks to leaders like you who guide us with valuable input on what we do day in and day out. Senator, I'm delighted that the nation's legislators will benefit from your leadership of the National Council of State Legislatures. Verizon stands ready to assist you in paving a path for the next generation of Hispanic leaders, many of whom are among us today. I want to thank Mickey Ibarra and Associates for bringing us all together, and my colleagues at Verizon, and all of you here today who have gathered to recognize this outstanding Hispanic leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. There are two other colleagues that I just want to mention from Verizon, the Verizon team. Keith Fulton had to step out for a phone call. Can you believe that, Verizon? Can you hear me now? But also Emilio Gonzalez. Emilio, would you please stand? Yeah. And now our very, very special friend and former congressman for 7 terms from New York City, Bobby Garcia, will offer a prayer. Afterwards, lunch will be served before we resume our program. Bobby?
Before I offer the prayer, I just would like to say to the President-elect of the State Legislators Conference that back in, I believe, 1965 or 66, I attended the first conference as a state legislator from the great state of New York. And you weren't even born then, my dear. But nonetheless, and I'd like to say to all of you, Mickey opened this up very clearly. To the young ones who were here, to the old-timers who were here, really look at each other. Look at each other and get to know each other. When Ed Roybal was here, when Henry B. Gonzalez was here, when Kika de la Garza was here, and myself, just the 4 of us, I would tell you, we never dreamt of any gathering such as this. So do me a favor. Do not take it for granted, because these things are hard to come by, and a lot of bodies have passed by to be able to make this possible for you today, and for the leadership of Mickey in putting it together. I congratulated you last year when you made me the official chaplain, and I'll congratulate you again. Now let's just take a second, because Mickey has given me the honor of taking us before the Lord to thank him for this food that we're about to eat. Shall we bow our heads? Lord, we do thank you. We thank you for the leadership that's in this room. We thank you, my Father, because we know that all of this comes from you. Please, Father, do not let us take this for granted. Help us to understand and accept the leadership roles that you have given us. Help us, more important, to care for each other, and more importantly, to love each other, to understand what we're here for the betterment of a whole group of people who have no understanding, my Father, who are looking to climb the ladder. So all these people here are very important, my Father. We especially thank you, my Father, for the food that you have placed before us. Lord, we ask that you bless that food, and we ask that you guide us, my Father. We say all of this to you, my Father, because you are who you are. You're the King. You're the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and there's nothing before you. So in your name, we all say, and please let's say it together, Amen.
In 2006, the Latino Leaders Luncheon Series expanded its media coverage with the addition of key media partners in Spanish and English to include the Hispanic Communications Network, El Tiempo Latino, and the Latino Leaders Magazine. And our newest media partner, HITN TV, with a viewership of over 14 million, is taping today's program for rebroadcast on several occasions across the nation. Please join me in thanking our media partners specifically, and I'd like them to stand. You need to know who our media partners are. Carlos Alcazar, Alberto Avendaño is not with us today from El Tiempo, but we also have Jorge and Raul Paredes from the Latino Leaders Magazine with us. Several additional acknowledgments we'd like to make at this time. We have Council Member Will Campos of Prince George's County here with us. Council Member. Right here. Stand up again. I want everybody to see you. Don't be bashful. I mean, Bobby said it better than I, but I'll tell you, it is inspiring to me to note the growing number of Latino elected officials in the Washington metropolitan area. We're very proud of them. We also have with us a former governor of West Virginia, a former 9-term member of Congress, Bob Weiss. Bob is now the president of the Alliance for Excellent Education, doing a wonderful job in improving our public high schools. We also are pleased to be joined by Bill Pound, the executive director of the National Conference of State Legislatures. We also have one of the folks that I had the privilege of serving at the West Wing of the White House, now Commissioner Ray Martinez of the U.S. Election Assistance Commission. We also have with us Roberto Salazar, the administrator of the Food and Nutrition Service at the Department of Agriculture. And we also are joined by Francis Garcia, the Inspector General of the U.S. Government Accounting Office. Francis. Before Senator Van de Putte is introduced, Alma Riojas, President and CEO of MANA, will provide a report on the good work underway at MANA to prepare our next generation of leaders. Alma is a wonderful role model, hard-charging executive, passionate advocate for our community and a good friend and mentor to so many of us in this room. Let's welcome Alma Riojas.
Thank you. Gracias, Mickey. I think for those of us who had the privilege of working with Mickey when he was at the White House, we had a very good friend in the White House, but we're very lucky that he not only is now a friend, but a partner with many of us in advancing not only Latino community issues, but more importantly, the leadership, which is really vital to that promotion of our programs. Thank you, Mickey. MANA is a national Latino organization, and originally it was the Mexican American National Association of Women. Now, being smart Latinas, in 1994, after 20 years of operation, the organization changed its name because we wanted to include all Latinas. So we became MANA, a national Latina organization. And that'll give you an idea of the leadership of MANA, which I'm proud to say is strong because it is an absolutely and totally a grassroots organization. We're comprised of 21 chapters, 4 affiliates. We are basically focused on leadership development of Latinas of all ages. In fact, we refer to us as a full circle of Latinas, from hermanitas, who are our girls in elementary through high school, our hermanitas program. We have the hermanas, who are our college-age Latinas, our madrinas, who are those who work at mentoring Latinas of all ages, and hey, I'm a member of the abuelitas. I think it really, though, focuses what MANA as a Latino organization is about. We heard in this morning's presentation that when it comes to health issues, or frankly any issue, that if you look at the way MANA has operated, it is through the women that a lot of our education moves forward. En MANA decimos, el que educa a la mujer, educa la familia. But if you go a little bit further, and this is a philosophy of MANA, el que educa a la mujer, educa la familia, y también promueve la comunidad latina. So if we educate a woman, you educate a family, and you help develop community, I think ultimately that is the strength and the power of MANA. And that our focus right now is in 2 different programs. Our Avanzamos, which is our leadership development program for adult Latinas. And through that program, we also train mentors for our Hermanitas program, which is our youth mentoring program. I'm proud to say that one of our founders of our Hermanita programs and past president of MANA, Rita Jaramillo, who's sitting out here, is, and I say this with pride and at the same time concern, it is the only national mentoring program for young Latinas. And I hope that if you take anything out of the presentations today and the guidance of Mickey and the Latino leadership, it's that we have to invest in mentoring of youth. If we don't, then we're really going to see a gap in this growth that we've had from when Congressman Garcia talked about when there were only 4 Latino members in Congress to what we see today. We have to invest in our youth. I would also like to encourage and promote your support of our MANA chapters at the local level. I'm often asked what distinguishes MANA as a Latino organization from other women's organizations. I will never, and if you ever hear me, no you won't, say that MANA is the oldest, the largest Latino organization, but you will never hear me say that it is the best Latino organization, because in the interest of sisterhood, hermanas, we have to be respectful of every other Latino organization that's out there. But the strength of MANA comes from that grassroots volunteer Latina who not only is interested in developing herself, but is really interested and focused on preparing people for the future. To me, that distinguishes the MANA members. And I'm very proud to say that our Las Primeras program, of which I know I'm sitting at the table with a very good candidate for our Las Primeras, which is part of our initiative that's 17 years old, when we kept hearing that there were no Latina role models. MANA decided we're not whiners. we're going to do something about it. So we established Las Primeras to recognize Latinas who are first in their careers, who have advanced our community forward, but who are a role model in terms of what they've done personally and professionally. And with that, I also wanted to recognize that I know I have at least 2 Primeras sitting here. Elizabeth, where are you? Lisboa? And the highest ranking Latina in career government, the Inspector General of GAO, Francis Garcia. Thank you very much. We hope that you put on your calendars October the 5th, which is our Las Primeras here at the Museum of Women in the Arts. And Vicky, again, muchas gracias, not only for including us in your leadership program, but frankly, because you took the initiative of making this a Latina leadership role. And from president of a Latina organization, gracias. And you might consider maybe put Latina Leaders Series. I'm kidding. Thank you.
She's tough. We are pleased to be joined today by Senator Kenneth McClintock Hernandez, President of the Puerto Rico Senate. Like Senator Van de Putte, he knows a thing or two about firsts. In 1992, Senator McClintock was elected the youngest senator at large for the 12th legislature of Puerto Rico at the age of 35. And he was chairman of the Council of State Governments, the youngest and first Hispanic chair in its 67-year history. As Senate President since January of 2005, and throughout his legislative career, he has been a champion for equal rights and opportunities for our 3.9 million brothers and sisters in Puerto Rico. Please join me in welcoming Senator Kenneth McClintock Hernandez for the introduction of our featured speaker.
Muchas gracias, Mickey. As a state legislator whose family tree spans from the Lone Star State's town of Texas City, where my father was born, to the Lone Star Territory city of Ponce, where my mother was born, it's a delight to introduce a fellow legislator whose family also spans from Texas to Puerto Rico, which he visits not as a turista, but as family. It's also an honor to introduce a legislative leader who has been willing to go, if not exactly to the ends of the earth, certainly at least to Oklahoma and Albuquerque, Nuevo Mexico, to defend the will of her people from a fellow Texan whose gerrymandering efforts have already led some aides to court, toppled him from power, forced him out of office, and the people to appeal to the Supreme Court. I'm pleased to share with her as she prepares to become the first Latina president of NCSL. As the first Hispanic to chair the Council of State Governments, which is NCSL's sister organization, I can tell you it ain't easy getting there in the best of circumstances, much less if you're Hispanic, and much less, as in Leticia's case, if you're a woman. But once you get there, Leticia, I can assure you it'll be great, and you will have a great bully pulpit to share your ideas and your concerns with a greater constituency than you've ever had before. A pharmacist, a mother to 6, an active member of her church, and in her free time, Tom DeLay's nemesis in the state Senate for a while, even though she has managed to work in a bipartisan fashion with members of both parties in the state Senate. A strong advocate for numerous health-related and technology issues, and a role model for Latinos and Latinas, as well as other women in politics who also want to become president, be it of NCSL or something bigger. I'm pleased to introduce our main speaker today, una legisladora con pantalones, la senadora tejana Leticia Van de Putte.
Thank you. Muchísimas gracias. Gracias. Muchísimas gracias a mi amigo, Kenneth McClintock, the Senate President. And let me tell you, we already have two of my primos who fell in love de mujeres de Puerto Rico y se quedaron. La Isla de Encanto, and you're right, Kenneth, when I go there, it's family. The only thing is that when I go with my mom, she never wants to come back. She stays more weeks. And thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. To Steve Banta and the great folks at Verizon. Steve, we're changing your name. This is a Latino Leaders Luncheon. Yeah, you're Esteban Banta. Thank you so much for the support that you've given this luncheon series. And to my good friend Frank Ross de Coca-Cola, thank you so much. I have never met anyone who speaks Español así, tan bueno. And then when he starts speaking English, he's just a good old boy. Georgia. You know what we do in San Antonio, because we're a truly bicultural city and we have that Latino, strong Mexican history, and yet we're part of the South and part of the Southwest, so we just say, pues, bienvenidos, y'all. Now that is singular, right, Frank? Because if we meant plural, it would be all y'all. Thank you so much. It's great to see old friends here. Or not say old friends, how about long-standing friends and lifelong friends? Muchísimas gracias. Mickey, thank you so much. It's been said so many times before, you are beloved by many people. The only other Mickey that's more beloved is a small little mouse with big ears. Everybody loves Mickey. Thank you for what you do to continue to bring us together and to bridge so many issues with Latinos and non-Latinos. You are a true American. Thank you, Mickey. My good friend here, Helen Sotonax, befriended me when I was an itty-bitty baby legislator in 1991, and I am indeed honored and humbled that she would come. She's also one of the great folks at Verizon, that she would make the trek from Texas, and I am indeed honored and humbled to join the ranks of the Latino leaders who have spoken at this luncheon series. Certainly our Attorney General and Senator Menendez and the Mayor of Los Angeles, and I'm just a little overwhelmed to be addressing a group of so powerful, motivated, compassionate, and can-do Latinos in our nation's capital. I am so honored and privileged to have been selected by my colleagues, first at the National Hispanic Conference of State Legislators, to be an officer and lead that group, and certainly that network of more than 350 Latino state legislators across the country. And muchísimas gracias, Liz Burgos, for being here today. And then to be able to be selected by my peers as President-elect of NCSL and opening up that whole new world. I don't know what is more preponderous, that you'd have a Latino or actually the first Texan. I don't know if Bill Pound, thank you for being here as Executive Director of NCSL. And when Mickey asked me to share a few comments, I have to tell you that we're supposed to share a little bit about ourselves and our history. And my family thinks I'm a little weird to, well, anybody who has 6 kids in 9 years would definitely fall under that category. But I'm actually weird because I'm probably one of the few people that carry around their Constitution, because you never know when you might need it. And I say this because there are two things in this that I love. And if you ever feel as Latinos somehow on the margins of discussions, take out that Constitution, and in the preamble it says, "We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union." And then I take the very, very back sentence of the Declaration of Independence, and it says, "We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortune, and our sacred honor." Mis amigos, that's what we do. And if you think about it, what is more important than something sacred? A mutual pledge to each other. In Spanish, si algo es sagrado, then no one can take that away. Es sagrado. Un honor sagrado that we owe to each other. And so, especially at these times in our country, and considering all of the issues that are before us as Latinos, but as Americans, we know that we must play a critical role in our national debate, particularly now as we try to embark on a rational, comprehensive immigration reform that secures our borders and yet eliminates the inequities in the current system. My friends, you and I have to be a part of that dialogue. Es sagrado, un honor that we have to do. And yet we know that I can only stand here before you and your other legislators and the other congressmen that are here today, and my congressman that was here today, Charlie Gonzalez, because of those trailblazers that came before. They didn't just knock at the door, they kicked it open so that we could be here. And they didn't do it alone. I am the daughter of a Korean War veteran. And because we know of that sacred honor, let me tell you a little bit about the Latinos who have served. We have over 600,000 veterans right now of Mexican descent, including 39 Medal of Honor recipients que son Latinos. We have 1.1 million Latino veterans. And since 2001, we make up over 10% of our armed forces. If you think about it, we make up almost 20% of the infantry, the gun crews, and the seamanship right now, the men and women who are in uniform. And so let us not forget that sacred honor. Will our veterans please stand so that we can give you our thanks? Por favor, de pie. Our veterans, muchísimas gracias. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I grew up in San Antonio, and family coming from, I'm the oldest. I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers, and I grew up in a very wonderful family on San Antonio's west side, very close to Enrique Cortez's family, which has the wonderful restaurant La Margarita in Mi Tierra. It wasn't El Mercado back then, it was Produce Row. And our grandfathers, Don Pedro Cortés, Don Daniel San Miguel, were best friends. My grandfather era boticario. And so the role model that I had was of my grandfather in that Botica Guadalupana. And the smells were wonderful. You know, it was a time when things were compounded. We didn't know it, but we were way ahead of our time in herbal medicine. Now everything is natural products. They just didn't know that when we got sick, era un tecito. You know, my grandpa used to make a wonderful cough medicine. It was called matatos. And it was just as good as the pomada that I made 20 years later called matacisote. Kill fungus. But I grew up in that atmosphere, and I always knew that I wanted to be a pharmacist. And I had parents that said, "Mijita, you can be whatever you want to be." Yes, 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 you can be whatever you want to be. I wanted to be a pharmacist because even at the age of 6, I wanted people to look at me like they looked at my grandpa. He was a person of respect. They came to him because of his knowledge. And I knew that I wanted to be a person of knowledge. And we have to continue to strive in our young people that they can be a person of knowledge and of respect. But I also knew, como mujercita, when my father would introduce me or my mother, the first thing say, "This is my daughter, Leticia." "Ay, qué bonita la muchachita." "Oh, what a pretty little girl." And the first thing out of my dad's mouth is "She's the smartest girl in her class." Always. The power of a parent. "She's the smartest girl in her class." Well, I wasn't. I wasn't. But because my father said so, it must be true. Because somebody whom I loved said so, said I was. Guess what? I studied spelling. I studied because I thought I could be. And I was very lucky that I was pretty adept at math and science that enabled me to become a pharmacist. But that type of family structures, that I was loved and nurtured, and I went to the best public schools, and I got to go to great universities on scholarship, yes, and knowing that in some way that I would be able to be like my grandfather. And so we need those role models. But I was in pharmacy school then in Houston, and I had a great time. Those of you who were in college campuses in the late 60s, early 70s know what I'm talking about. You all have gray hair now. And I was in a pharmacy math class, and part of the class I had a professor who called us up and we would do problems on the board. Okay, this is before calculators. I was great at a slide rule. You can see them in museums. I see all these young people saying, "Get slide rule." I was wonderful at that. But anyway, she called me up, and I got the problem wrong in front of the whole class. And I was embarrassed. And like many humans who find themselves in error, they make light of it. And so I made a little remark. And I'll never forget what she told me. She said, "Miss San Miguel, just because you're white for a Mexican doesn't mean you can make mistakes like that." I was in total awe and shock. I couldn't believe that she had said something like that to me in front of my classmates. And I was hurt, and I wanted an apology. Class ended soon after, and I went up to her and I told the professor, I said, "What you said was absolutely wrong. I was unprepared for this class. But it has nothing to do with me being of Mexican descent. Truth of the matter was I was learning how to tap a keg the night before." True story. I want you young people to understand that during Vietnam, the age of legal alcohol consumption was 18. Okay? So. Anyway, I couldn't understand, so I told her, "I want an apology. And I want you to make this apology in front of class tomorrow." And she told me, "You make me sick." I said, "I make you sick?" I said, "Do you realize what you have just said to me?" And she says, "You think you're here for you?" She says, "How many girls are in this class?" There was 8 out of 65. She says, "How many Mexicans are here?" There were 3 of us. She says, "You've got so much potential, and you are having a good time. You think you're here for you." And she walked out. Very painful, because she was right. I never thought until that point that what I did as Leticia San Miguel, hija del dueño de la botica guadalupana, reflected on mis hermanas. I never thought that it was my duty to be so good so they'd let other women in. And I never thought about myself as being doubly good so they'd let more raza in. I never thought about myself in the same way. It's not about me. My friends, it's not about you. It's about us. As it turned out, Professor Rouse did apologize the next class, and we have become, until her death, very good friends. And maybe for people like me who weren't the first generation to break down those doors, we need to be reminded. Now, I was reminded in a way that slapped me and assaulted what I thought. But she got her point across. I went on and finished pharmacy school at the University of Texas, got married, and proceeded to work in La Botica. And my dream was to own my own pharmacy, and I did. In between, in the 1980s, I had 6 children. And that pharmacy provided me with the opportunity to take my babies to work, something that most women can't do unless you own the joint, and I did. And so I got to be with my babies. And as I saw what the disease burden was for people in my community, I began to think, who makes these laws? Who makes this policy? You see, in 1990 in Texas, we had a comprehensive policy that made sure that every cow was going to be vaccinated, and we had a registry. We didn't have a similar policy for children. But in an agricultural, industrial, manufacturing economy, cows are money. And so it was a product of our economy. My friends, in a social sector, service sector economy, my little oil wells are those little chicanitos in 3rd grade. And so we must invest in immunizations and an immunization registry. And so I thought, I'm going to put my name in. They don't know what they're doing. Who's making education policy? Who's making this? I got angry. I got angry. I had never held office, and I wasn't supposed to win, but I did. And I've loved it ever since. I love making laws and policy at the state level. And we all are leaders. I may be a leader in my community, but everyone in my community and Latinos are leaders. We are all public servants. We are all servant leaders in our own capacities. I've loved being engaged in the legislature and that institution. But if you sit here today and you're involved in education, then you are a servant leader. If you're involved in healthcare, you're a servant leader. Many decisions are made in boardrooms. Many decisions are made at the state legislative level and at our precious capital, very close to here. But more decisions that affect Latinos are made at the supper table. And that's where you and I need to be those servant leaders, to affect family life. I'm always reminded of my grandmother. 2 grandmas, one born in Guadalajara and the other in Musquis, Coahuila. And crossing that border every day. And whenever we get off track, whenever something would go wrong, Abuelita would say, checkpoint. Checkpoint. Because there were 4 questions that Border Patrol asked her. And if you ever get off track as an individual in your organization, whether it's a community-based organization, a governmental institution, think about the checkpoint and the questions. First question they ask, Kenneth, who are you? Who are we? Who are we as Latinos? What do we represent? Second question, ¿qué traes? What do you have? Right? I think they were worried about vegetables and fruits and other stuff. But ¿qué traes? What qualities, what skill sets do you possess that make you an asset to your family, to your community, to your employer? ¿Qué traes? Third question, ¿dónde vas? Where are you going? And we know where we're going. The fourth question is probably the most difficult one that they'd ask, Abuela, ¿qué vas a hacer cuando llegues ahí? What are you going to do when you get there? That's the question you and I as Latinos still have to ask. And we have to answer with rational thought and debate. What are we going to do when we get there? Because ya llegamos. We are here. Be a leader. I have been given a marvelous opportunity. But I have been given every opportunity. I am in awe and wonder of that single mom with 2 kids who got pregnant and got her GED, and she's at the community college and she's working and she has this dream. That's the leader. That's the person that didn't have it easy like I did. Or the young man who battles those demons of addiction and yet knows that he's got to finish his education. The small business owner just barely making it. Those people are courageous. They're the ones that haven't had the opportunity. I'm lucky. I should be here. I had parents who loved me in best schools, and I've been given a great opportunity. And you all have your own stories, las historias. Let's share them with our young people. And if we ever get off balance, if you ever question what is our purpose, checkpoint. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you. Thank you.
That's exactly what we wanted. We're going to make a presentation.
Thank you.
Cool. Senator, I'm very confident I speak for everyone here. We will never, never forget you. We are so proud of you and so delighted with this opportunity that you'll have in the year ahead to serve as the president of NCSL. And Senator Van de Putte, we are pleased to present you with this leadership award in recognition of your outstanding public service to our country and to your community. I was in weight training here for about 3 weeks to pick this up. Take a picture right over here. This is the Nombre Eagle. Just 2 announcements real quickly before we adjourn. I want to start rather than close with a recognition of my associates that's responsible for putting this event together each time. Leticia made reference to him earlier, but Enrique Cortez, our associate who is the director of the Latino Leaders Luncheon. Enrique? He's also my bodyguard. Mickey Ibarra and Associates, with the continued support of Verizon and the Coca-Cola Company, will host the next Latino Leaders Luncheon on September 6th. First, I am pleased to announce that this is a very special luncheon event because it will include a partnership, first ever, with the Hispanic Heritage Foundation. Jose Antonio is with us, I believe, still. He may have stepped out. Where are you? We've reached agreement that for the next luncheon, we are going to move locations only once to a little larger location because we're going to need a little more room. On September 7th, it will be the 20th anniversary of the Hispanic Heritage Awards at the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. On September 6th, we will convene all of the past recipients of the Hispanic Heritage Awards. I mean, these are the premier of the premier in a lot of different fields, to honor them at our Latino Leaders Luncheon on September 6th. And we'll In advance, poll all of them to determine who it is they most want to hear from among their peers. And that person will be given the microphone to deliver the address on September 6th. I know you'll all want to be there. We want you with us, and you can look forward to your invitation being mailed very early in August. Again, on behalf of Mickey Ibarra and Associates, I want to thank Senator Van de Putte. I want to thank Coca-Cola, also Verizon. I want to thank all of you for taking the time to be with us. We look forward to seeing you again on September 6th. Thank you.